over Kyara village in Sokoto State. There were no warning sirens, no phone calls for help, no chance to run. As families settled into sleep, armed bandits moved in under the cover of darkness, silent, organized, and deliberate. Within minutes, the calm of the village was shattered. By morning, 7 innocent people were dead. What makes this attack even more haunting is not just the loss of life, but the isolation. Kyara had no mobile network that night, no emergency calls went through, no alerts reached security forces. The village was cut off from the world, left to face terror alone. This was not a battlefield. It was a rural community, and it was defenseless. Tonight, Nigerians are asking a hard question. Is the so-called Trump peace plan already collapsing? Just weeks ago, reports emerged of US-linked airstrikes targeting bandit hideouts in Nigeria's northwest. The message was clear. Armed groups would be hit hard from the air, their camps destroyed, their confidence broken. Supporters hailed it as a turning point, a show of strength, a reset in the fight against terror. But what followed tells a far more troubling story. Kyara village lies in Sabon local government area close to Nigeria's porous borders. These are regions where state authority fades quickly, where forests stretch endlessly, and where bandits know every path, every hideout, every escape route. According to reports by respected security analyst Zagazola Makama, the attackers struck swiftly, killing civilians before disappearing back into the night. There was no confrontation with security forces, no resistance, just silence after the gunmen left. For residents, the message was devastatingly clear. Help was never coming. But Sokoto was only the beginning. In neighboring Zamfara State, something even more alarming unfolded, something that has sent shockwaves through Nigeria's security community. For the first time in this conflict, bandits reportedly deployed roadside bombs, improvised explosive devices, IEDs. These are weapons designed not just to kill, but to terrify. Along a rural road, an explosive detonated without warning. The blast tore through the quiet routine of daily life, leaving 5 people critically injured. No military convoy, no armed target, just civilians moving along a familiar route. This marks a dangerous shift. Bandits have long relied on guns, kidnappings, and raids. But bombs? That changes everything. IEDs turn ordinary roads into death traps. They paralyze movement. They cut off trade, farming, and emergency access. And most importantly, they spread fear far beyond the blast itself. People begin to ask, is any road safe? Can we still travel? Do we stay home and starve or risk our lives outside? Security experts are now deeply concerned because this tactic sends a message that bandits are adapting, that they are not intimidated, and that airstrikes may have pushed them to evolve, not surrender. If true, then the strategy meant to weaken them may instead be accelerating the conflict into a more dangerous phase. So what about the peace deals? For years, state governments in the Northwest have attempted negotiations, offering amnesty, money, or reintegration in exchange for disarmament. Some deals brought brief calm. Most failed. Critics warned that these agreements lacked enforcement, rewarded violence, and emboldened armed groups. Supporters argued they saved lives, even temporarily. But now, with villages burning and bombs appearing on roads, it's becoming clear that whatever fragile understandings existed are unraveling. When armed groups feel confident enough to massacre civilians in Sokoto and plant explosives in Zamfara, it suggests one thing: they no longer fear consequences. There is also a deeper worry, one that goes beyond banditry. IEDs are not common criminal tools. Their use raises questions about training sources, weapon supply chains, possible links to extremist tactics. So far, bandit groups in the Northwest have been driven mainly by profit, not ideology. But violence evolves, and once new methods are introduced, they rarely disappear. What happens if these tactics spread? For civilians, the cost is immediate and unbearable. Farmers hesitate to go to their fields. Traders abandon major roads. Parents listen for motorcycles instead of sleeping. And when communities lack mobile networks, rapid response units, or permanent security presence, fear becomes permanent. Kyara's tragedy is not just about 7 lives lost. It's about systemic abandonment. No signal, no soldiers, no protection. Oh. This brings us back to the bigger picture. If airstrikes are launched without sustained ground operations, intelligence sharing with communities, civilian protection strategies, restoration of communication networks, then they risk at becoming symbolic gestures, loud, powerful, but fleeting. And symbolism does not protect villages. It does have peace. The so-called war on terror in Nigeria's northwest is entering a critical phase, not because it is new, but because it is changing. Bandits are adapting, peace deals are collapsing, and civilians are caught in between. The question now is not whether force is needed, but whether Nigeria and its partners are prepared for the consequences of escalation. Because if Kyara and Zamfara are any indication, the war is no longer just about forests and camps. It is now at the doorstep of ordinary people, and that makes it far more dangerous. If you want continued updates on Nigeria's security situation, regional intelligence reports, and in-depth analysis, stay connected. This story is far from over.